in follow-up to types of Gunite pool finish surfaces, which I suppose we can update with ecoFinish. The question is, where does hydrazo fall into this mix as far as durability and impervious to chemicals? And then a follow-up question from me is, how does ecoFinish fit into that mix?
Okay. So let's talk about pool surface finishes for Gunite pools. The traditional finish, which was marcite, or called plaster, someone's plastering a pool, it was typically white marcite. And what the mix is it's crushed up marble dust and white Portland cement. Of course, there's some additives and things that you could put in there, some different things, but the basis of it is marble and Portland cement. Mix those, plaster them on, great finish. Downside is water chemistry very rapidly starts to break down the Portland cement and the quartz. The quartz is really soft. The marble is really soft. And what happens is, in short order time, especially with the right chemistry going on, is the surface etches and that it becomes very rough because the plaster starts exposing all the little sharp pieces of marble. So that's the least durable of the pool finishes out there. In the middle of the durability of pool plaster finishes would be quartz-based finishes like hydrazo, which instead of it being marble dust, now we're using crushed up quartz dust with white Portland cement, or in many cases, different color dyes added to create a lot of different color variations and different stone mixtures. But that's going to be a lot more dense. If you looked at it microscopically, it's a lot more dense than the marble and Portland mix. The quartz and Portland mix is a lot denser, going to get less water penetration in it, and it's going to be a lot more durable and resistant to water chemistry. The other advantage of having a quartz-based finish is once it's plastered on initially, it's acid washed and then buffed, and you literally use a diamond pad to smooth the surface out. So in the future, if you end up with rough spots, they can be polished smooth again. You can't do that with the marble dust finish, because as soon as you hit a diamond pad on it, it just starts crumbling the material. In the case of the quartz is super strong. So it's a much better durability. The next step beyond that would be a pebble-based finish. And the reason for that is you have very little cementitious product exposed to the water. In the first two surfaces, you have almost 100% Portland cement exposed to the water, which the water rapidly breaks down and decays. And that's why the surface starts exposing and getting rough. Where if you use a pebble-based finish, you wash, after it's installed, you acid wash the Portland off of the surface so that 99% or 95% of the surface is exposed stone with just a little bit of cement exposed around the edges. And the stone is really impervious to water chemistry because that stone has rumbled down the rivers for thousands and thousands of years, and it's very tight and it's very strong, and you get very little water penetration into it, so therefore the surface will last longer and won't break down as much. So marble-based finishes, which is marcite, quartz-based finishes are things like hydrazo, and then pebble-based products like Pebble Tech are the three main groups. And then the other question was ecoFinish. So ecoFinish is a flame powder coated process that goes over one of those other finishes. So the surface itself is going to be far less permeable to water and water chemistry and water damage because it's like a plastic film over the surface. But it still has to have a plaster finish behind it. The big advantage to it is it's a premium product, and it's ends up on the highest end. Just like these three categories, as you get into the different categories, the price goes up. ecoFinish ends up in the category right there with Pebble in terms of cost, but it allows a simpler application of color, and you're not relying on batch mixes and things, because when you start mixing stone and cement and colors to create to create a finish, you've got multiple batches and you get a lot of color variations and things. The other advantage to ecoFinish is you're not going to have that because you're creating one continual surface. So in terms of its overall use, Pebble is going to be good. ecoFinish, as far as I'm concerned, is going to be better in terms of durability and permeability.